Morning. It's April 4th, and I wanted to do a video of how we take our sweet potato slips and put them in water. These are our sweet potatoes. You can see how nice and long these are growing. They've actually been growing off the top of this thing. I've had to tie them down to the side to keep them from growing into the lights. And I'll take the longest ones and we'll cut them off, and then we'll put into a container of water. The taller the better, so you can get more roots develop. And in a few weeks, after you've cut your sweet potatoes and put them in water, you can see the roots starting to form, or your sweet potato slips rather. We put the sweet potato in the soil, moisten the soil, potting mix. In a few months, it'll grow up and start sprouting these vines, which are sweet potato slips. And then we cut the sweet potato slips off, place them in water for a few weeks, and then they root, and then we plant them. I planted these this morning. I just got them planted this morning. I took them right out of the water and planted them. And here's some that's been planted and growing for 2 weeks now. So they're in 16-ounce cups. I put the barbecue skewers in there because the vines are getting really long and they've got something to grow up to. It's still too early to plant our sweet potatoes here in Indiana, central Indiana. We usually wait till about Mother's Day. So we've got a month to go. Let me get this out of here. We can show you, if I can do it without destroying everything, how these things look. And they're just in 16-ounce cups. They've been rooted now for a couple of weeks. And we'll see if we can get this back in there. And here's another container of the slips we've been cutting off. Once they grow tall enough to get into my lights, I cut them off, because if I don't, these tops grow up and touch the bulbs, and it burns the tops out of them. So I go ahead and just cut them off when they're almost ready to touch the lights. And then we're getting lengths of, things like this. I don't know, that's over a foot. You can see the roots. Some of them have stronger root structures than others because they've been put in the water. I every 3 or 4 days, I'm cutting a shoot off and putting it in the water. So different ones are going to have different root structure. But you can see that, how nice that looks. And that'll make a nice little plant. So we'll do this one. First of all, I'll show you what I do, if I can find my scissors. This is a really long vine that I tied down to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and just snip that off just like that. You can actually see the liquid coming out where we just cut it. And then I'll cut these bottom leaves off. And you can actually eat these leaves. And then I'll just stick it in the water. Now I do have a bubbler from a fish aquarium. I have a pump. You can pick that up for about $6 at Walmart, and a little air stone. And I put that in here to help root these things faster. But in the past, I've done it just putting them in water, a cup of water, and about every week I'll change out the water. But it'll root without that. But I just do it to get them rooted faster. And in a couple of weeks, you'll have your sweet potato slips that are rooted and ready to plant. So then I'll take a 16-ounce cup that I've already drilled the holes in the bottom, and I use Pro Mix. You can get a bale of Pro Mix, or you can use any potting mix, potting soil. I use potting mix because I water from the bottom. I'll set these in a container and then pour the water in the bottom, and the potting mixes wick up the water better than a potting soil. So I've amended this with some organic fertilizer. And what we'll do is we'll just put a little bit of this Pro Mix in the bottom of the cup. You see, I'm only probably about that much. And then we'll gently, so we don't want to break these roots off, we'll gently just stick that down in there about in the center. And then we'll just fill in around it. Mash it down a little bit. Make sure it's seated really well. And there you go. One sweet potato slip planted. And now, once it colonizes this whole cup with the root structure, you'll have a sweet potato plant. I do this because I was running out of room in my container, so we started planting them. And in 4 weeks, these will be really nice, already rooted, ready to go in the ground. I've bought sweet potato slips in the past, and then you get them, and they may have root structures on them. Some of them didn't even have root structures. And I planted those things, and I lost half of them our first year doing it. So the ones we were able to grow out, we've saved our potatoes. And these are potatoes we grew last year. These are the smaller ones that fit in these containers. And we still have some in the back room from our last year's sweet potato grow, which I have videos of that in the playlist. But we start them early so that when we put these plants out, our vines will actually be, or the slips will actually be 1 foot to 2 foot tall. And then we can get them in the ground. They have a better start than just taking a slip like this and putting it in the ground. I have had success at that, but I have better success with doing it like this. Now, I have friends that want me to save some of these slips for them, so I'm not going to plant theirs. They can do that. I've done the hard part. All they'll have to do is come and get them from me. You can see here how these are starting to root too, how nice that root structures look. So our extras here will go to our friends and family and neighbors, and then anything left over, if there is anything, I have 4 containers of sweet potatoes making slips, so we should have plenty this year. I'll be able to sell some. I'll sell them online. I've sold them in the past as rooted plants. I've sold them as just rooted slips. When we bought ours, we were paying $2 per slip, plus the tax, plus the shipping. So it's a lot cheaper for us to do it like this, save our leftovers, a few of your sweet potatoes, and start your own the following year. So that's how we start cut off our sweet potato slips off of the potato, put it in the water to let it root, and then once it's rooted, we'll get them planted so we can get a good start on our plants going in the ground this year. And the rest go to family and friends and anyone that wants to buy some. So that's how we do our sweet potato plants. We turn the sweet potatoes into a sweet potato slip, and then from a sweet potato slip, we'll go back to a sweet potato plant. And there you go. Very easy to do, very cheap. Potting mix and some cups and a little bit of water, and you're in business. So if you like the content of the channel, give us a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.